Stuff.
Sure. Hey, Olivier. Just wanted to talk a little bit, ask you about how the adjustment has been so far at Michigan. You mentioned on the Defend the Block podcast how some of the initial challenges were going to be adapting your game to complement Michigan and then also finding your kind of role in the four. How has that been so far?
The coaches have done a really great job setting up practice so that everybody can really, get comfortable with their role and get reps at the things that they need to be doing on the court for the team and, really building it ground up.
Again, guys, we'll just do the open forum. So whoever, just jump right in, please.
Sure. Olivier, hi, it's Alejandro. I'm with 24/7. You mentioned on that podcast that when you were being recruited by Michigan, you really liked what, Coach Juwan and the others said you'd be able to take your game to at Michigan. In what ways do you feel like your role at Michigan would be different, say, to what you did at Tennessee?
I just feel like in the offense that they run here with a guy like Juwan, I'll be able to, adapt my game, still do many of those things that I was doing at Tennessee, but also adapt my game to a more NBA style offense, get to run plays from different positions and then just ultimately play, in a bigger role, I feel.
I know that considering the NBA, like that was one of your off season, that was one of the things you were considering this off season. What eventually kind of like tipped the scales for you to, A, come back to college, and B, like sent you toward Ann Arbor?
Just after going through the process, that was my first time going through the process. I felt as though my best decision for myself and my future was to do one more year of school. And then, the relationship that I over time built with Juwan, I felt like it was the best place for me. And then there was already a connection between me and Coach Martelli, who had been here for a couple of years. He recruited me in high school. So I just felt like this was a place and people who I could really connect with and have a great situation.
How's it going? I'm Connor with UofMHoops.com. With NBA stuff, Portal now going to play with Finland, it seems like you've had a super busy off season. I guess how has the transition between all these places been for you?
Uh, I hate to say, but it's nothing really new. I've always kind of had to be on the move a little bit in certain times of my life, so I'm not too, it's not too new to me. But it's been nice. I've been in Ann Arbor for a month, and it's been really nice. I got to meet everybody. I got to get in the flow of things, and you really settle in. And even throughout the process, I had 2 weeks to spend at home just with my family. So I've had time to settle down as well. But I have been on the move, and I'm gonna go to Finland, and I'm gonna have a good amount of time first in just Finland, Helsinki, where my mom is. So I have time with family while I'm also able to, work on my game. So really, I've been blessed to be able to put in places where I have family and, the ability to play basketball. So that's made it really easy for me to settle in everywhere.
Olivier, a lot of things were reported during your recruitment. I guess, how did you end up at Michigan? What made Michigan the choice?
Yeah, recruitment was a little bit of a crazy process. My visits, two of them I took before the deadline and then two I took after. And, the whole time I was still kind of figuring out the whole NBA thing. I really did wait till the last minute to make that decision. And then once it was time to focus on college, I did. And I didn't really talk to anybody except, people in my circle about it and schools directly. I don't even have Twitter, so I would open it up on my Safari sometimes and notice that there was a lot of stuff going around. But Michigan was the choice for me just because, like I said before, the relationship with Coach Juwan and Phil Martelli, and then I got to meet the other coaches. And now after having those early conversations with the players, I really connected with the players. So I feel it was just the best choice. Sometimes you can't just do things based on facts and numbers. Sometimes you also have to just kind of follow what you feel it might be the right choice for you. And, sometimes you just have to trust in people more than all the other stuff. And I feel like here's a great place for me to grow as a person with the people around me.
And you mentioned connecting with the other guys, but a lot of them that we've talked to this offseason have talked about the culture, how they need to reestablish that. I mean, what's your view a few weeks in of the culture and what you guys are trying to build for this season?
I can definitely respect them saying that the culture needs to be reestablished. A lot of those guys are young. You know, last year was their first year here, and that's all they know. But at the same time, you know, Michigan does have great culture, and the culture doesn't just go away, you know, because of a bad year. You know, culture is something you build through time, and then it's about how you bounce back. And it's about how you continue to keep doing things consistently every year, every month, every week. It's not something that can be built in a day, and it's not something that's just going to go away in a day or a year. You know, one bad year doesn't define the team and their culture. So I feel like we have a chance to, you know, bring it back to what it's known for, and you know, just understand the bad. Everybody has bad years.
Olivier, hey, Andrew Kahn, we met outside Chrysler just the other day. Good to see you. Yeah, a couple things. Your experience playing with Finland. I saw you did it with the U16 team way back, and then you were part of the qualifier team for this tournament. Is that right? I guess what were those experiences like?
Yeah, so last time I played, before I played 2021, I went to we went to Okinawa actually, and Japan was qualified. They were part of the Olympics. I think it was 21 or 22 for my junior year. That was the first time I had played for the national team since 2016, like you said, because I had moved over to America in that, you know, between that time span. So while I was over here early, I couldn't go and play. But the experiences with the national team have been great. You know, every time I've gone over there, you know, it's a different kind of basketball a little bit. It's faster, but you know, you get to be around professionals, especially now that I'm going with the men's team. I get to be around professionals who know what they're doing. They've been doing it for years. And some guys are still my age too. So they're, you know, I have different guys my age. Some are still in school and others are playing pro, you know, guys my age. So I just get to see, you know, different players and how they approach the game and just learn from them. And then just get into a different environment and still during summer keep playing competitive basketball. So it's always great.
I mean, a lot of people say putting on the jersey for your country is a little different than even, you know, a college team or any other team. Can you speak to that, I guess?
Yeah, you know, when it really hit me was when I played my first game and my mom was in the stands wearing, you know, the Finland uniform or the jersey, and how happy she was, and my family. I had a bunch of my family there. So it is a very different feeling, you know, representing your country.
Then last thing for me, there were like reports that, you know, oh, you know, Olivier's down to Michigan in another school, and then the next day Michigan not in play for Olivier, and then you committed. Like, were you following that, or even if you weren't, I guess, can you speak to how those reports were getting out, or yeah?
Like I said before, I only spoke directly to schools.
Okay.
And there was some different conversations had throughout my recruitment process, but I only had them directly with schools. So anything that was going on Twitter, like I said, sometimes I would open up Safari and see some stuff that was on there, but I wasn't really paying attention to it too much. People would usually send them to me, but in the end, you know, it was a couple of days where I spoke to coaches and I kind of told them I need some more time to mull things over, and then I made my decision.
Thanks.
Can you kind of break down what you're going to be doing for the next month with the international friendlies? And then can you elaborate a little bit more on that opportunity to go to the World Cup and play with, you know, Team USA is loaded with NBA guys, Germany has NBA guys, Italy has NBA guys, just that opportunity to go up against some of the finest players in the world?
Yeah, so I'm gonna head home and we're gonna have training camp first. And then after the first training camp, I think early August, we have one or two friendlies, then another training camp, one or two friendlies, and then one more training camp. And I think our last friendlies. And then we head over to Japan, Okinawa. And I mean, it's really just, you know, getting to play at the highest level. You know, at the end of the day, the best way I feel like of getting better at basketball is playing against the best competition. You know, you can work on your game as much as you want, but iron sharpens iron. You have to really get out there and play and, you know, be able to work and be able to, you know, put in action the things you've worked on and see if you can actually do them. that's how you learn what you have to keep working on, and you go back in the gym and figure it out again, and then go back out there. And I feel like it's going to be an amazing opportunity for me to play against some of the best players in the world, and even some guys that, might not be in the NBA and you might not see every day, but they're still some of the best at what they do. They just play in different places.
Tennessee and Michigan, kind of different styles offensively. Then you played kind of the summer in the G League camp. That's another style. Now you're going to FIBA in a different style, different roles. Do you have like a role offensively that you feel most comfortable in, or a style of play that you think showcases your game most effectively?
I feel like I've been blessed with kind of how my game developed and the position that I naturally am built for, and that's a stretch forward. And, most offenses nowadays run a stretch forward pretty similarly. They're going to be a trail guy. They're going to be an outside in big, inside out big, a mismatch player who's going to be bigger and have to guard bigger guys, and who's going to sometimes have to guard smaller guys. And they're just always going to be, my height range, 6'9", 6'8". And they're always going to kind of have an outside shot, have to pass the ball. So wherever I play, because I've really found like my position. Wherever I play, I know what I bring to the table. So the adjustment is always not that difficult. It's easier because I know what I can do, and I bring the same thing to the table, whichever team I'm on, because I have a game that just suits. My game just fits in anywhere.
Does anybody have anything else?
I got one. Olivier, I know you didn't play, you were hurt, but what do you remember about the game against Michigan a couple of years ago? Obviously a great game.
No, there's been many conversations had about that game. And I know what my answer to how that game would have gone if I played is, but I don't know if I want to say that anymore, because now, I go to Michigan. But I guess the past is the past. And if I was to speak on the past, I just remember that if a specific person played, the game might have ended a little different. And there was a couple of problems on the Tennessee team that could have been, worked out. And the Michigan specifically attacked because of, a lack on that Tennessee squad. But, it was smart of Michigan to, game plan for what their opponent had. It was a good game. It was a great game. A lot of guys played well. A lot of guys, played very hard. Everybody played very hard. There were some guys had some struggles, but still, went at it on our team. There were some guys who couldn't, put the ball in the basket. Sometimes the shots don't fall. So they were, getting to it on the other end. There was a lot of guys on Michigan's team who stepped up, played a really hard game, made plays late in the game. Kennedy obviously played amazingly, and Hunter, everybody knows what Hunter did. So it was a great game. It was a great game, but it definitely wouldn't have ended the same if I played.
That's fair. And then I know you've already spoken really highly about Doug McDaniel and Terrace Reed and some of the other guys on the team. What have you seen from those two specifically so far, maybe in the last couple of weeks, that excites you about playing with them this season?
For Terrace, I just feel like the best part about him is he's a guy who wants to learn. If you're willing to talk to him and you want to talk to him, he's going to listen, and he wants to learn. He wants to get better, and he's just naturally talented. He just has an amazing physicality, and can play on both ends of the floor. And then for Doug, what has actually impressed me the most about Doug is not his game. Even though his game is, he's really good. It's his mentality. He wants to be a leader. He wants to be a winner. And he knows he's the point guard, and he knows, he has to take on that role of being a leader, even if he's not, team captain or the oldest guy. As the team point guard, you're the engine who runs the team, and he knows that responsibility is going to be on him. And, if your point guard knows what he has to do, that's big. And that's really impressed me that he's mature enough to, know his job and know his role and know what he has to get better at.
I guess when we're discussing teammates, right? Like, how do you plan with going overseas and playing with Finland? How do you plan to kind of stay connected with all the Michigan guys that you've made a relationship with in recent months?
I mean, lucky enough, we got phones. That's really the best I can do. But lucky enough, I'll be able to call, FaceTime. in the group chats. But I'm only gone for a little bit over a month, and then once I come back, that's when the real grind. Like, this is summer grind, and it's different for everybody. But we're gonna have all preseason, and we're gonna have a good amount of time to be in the trenches together, and we're gonna figure things out. So that's why I'm glad I was able to be here for this month. But yeah, there's not much I'll be able to do. I'll be really focused on my job over there at that time.
Anybody have anything else before we let them go? All right. Have fun packing, safe travels, and best of luck.
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Olivier.